It's another TomsTake Greater Lansing Local. We're out here in Bath, Michigan. Teddy Terzian at the other end of the table. And I got one question. This dovetails into what we're going to talk about first.
Okay.
When do you go to bed at night?
Typically. Usually just about 11:30.
11:30. And when do you get up?
7.
7. So you're talking
6:30 sometimes.
So you're talking about 7.5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Not bad. Okay.
Sometimes I'll get a little more.
We're going to break you down here, Teddy. Fellow Sexton Big Red. CJ, my friend Chris Johnson, our on target living. And CJ, we go way back, 1980, to a place called Slenderform Universal Health Spas, where we're looking at each other like, this is not what we signed up for.
You know what? At the time, it was fun.
It was fun. We had fun. We were selling, we're there, thought we were going to be fitness instructors. And we were, but we were more salespeople.
And we were working 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
3 days a week.
Yes.
Making $4 an hour.
And then we play basketball.
And then the other days we were not doing anything except playing. So I remember my mom, because I was living at home at the time, just got out of college.
Yeah.
She said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Because on the off days, we're just playing.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, how productive.
It was a unique job.
Yeah.
36 hours a week.
Making $90 a week gross. With a college degree.
But yeah, we're both recent college graduates, Teddy. And, you were making the big bucks by then, Teddy. Right. I know. Yeah, I know you were. Yeah, don't admit that. So we're trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to do with this college degree? And eventually, so I moved to Texas, became a sports writer, and got into eventually PR and media, and then back to Sports Talk Radio. But I knew CJ was going to be something involved in fitness, wellness, healthy stuff, and wow. I know you had a couple stops working, driving around a bread truck and
bread truck and Frito-Lay.
Frito-Lay,
yeah.
But take us through, and we could do an hour just on how you got into this industry, but take us through, CJ. I mean, how did you get to this point of being in this program, having this company?
Well, I think the big thing, I was always interested in sports. You went to Eastern.
Yeah.
Teddy and I went to Sexton.
Yeah.
Went to Dwight Rich, and I always liked athletics and I liked working out, lifting weights, that kind of stuff. And then when I got out of college, I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? After working at Slenderform, and worked in the assembly line, and I'm like, okay. So then I started really thinking about what am I interested in? My dad always said to me, find something you love to do.
My dad said, and be passionate, and you'll make a good enough living.
Yeah. And so we always talk about the 3 circles. Can you make money at it?
Right.
Can you be best in class at it? But if you don't combine the 3 circles, then there's no passion there and whatever. So
sure.
I went back to grad school at Michigan State and got exercise physiology. My twins were born, and people are like, "What are you going to do with that?" So, long story short, I worked for a doctor, worked for the Michigan Athletic Club for 17 years, and then I started on target living in 2006, and it went full time 2007.
Wow! And we're out here, right out here next to Eagle Eye. You got a beautiful building out here, and you got your son Matt been involved with the company. He's the president. He's taken over, is he?
Took over. So I used to travel around the world speaking.
Okay.
That's what I did for about 15 years. And then we built this facility out here in Bath, and we brought groups in for training and help them improve their lifestyle. And so that's kind of how it all began.
Okay.
So now the changing of the guards, I'm kind of at a different season of my life, like
we all are, kind of, yeah.
Right? So,
we work and we play in the same day, pretty much.
So anyway, so that's where I'm at today. But it's been a great run. I've been doing this close to 40 years now.
Unbelievable.
And, it's been a real calling, over time. And I feel very blessed and thankful for that.
Well, Teddy, you got to be proud of this fellow Big Red. I mean, you've known CJ since the old neighborhood in Colonial Village.
Johnson family's they're like family to me.
Yeah.
And I've known him for years, and he mentioned that he, started this thing and going all over the world speaking. He took this worldwide. I mean, nationwide.
Yeah.
And I remember being at a meeting down in Nashville, and I walk into the Jackson office down there, and there's Target.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. It was down there. I mean, so he was down there. I think he had done something with them. And it's just amazing some of the stuff he has in the warehousing. He has all everything you need.
Right. Right there. And the book. This is the first
Many
book,
books
right?
No, that's the latest.
That's the latest
one
book,
here.
okay.
And
Rest, eat,
excellent
and move.
stuff.
I mean, that's it. Those are the three
That's
things.
the pillars.
Yeah, the pillars.
That's what we always talked about. Is like, how do you get people? You're talking about sleeping.
Yeah.
Understand
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah.
You know what we eat. Food is medicine. Food is love. I'm married to a Lebanese woman for a long time, so food is social, all that. But then,
Yeah.
you know, how do you create movement? So instead of talking about exercise, like how do you get people to get them to move? So that's kind of the gist behind it. And we'd always try to come up with, you know, a handful of books we've written, come up with some catchy name. And my son says, Dad, you know, why don't you just call it what it is? And so that's where the title came up. And that's the name of our podcast.
Make it literal.
Rest
Yeah.
So it's simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
We talk about blood work and medical literacy and where we're at today. You know, people want to feel good, but sometimes they think that they have to go, you know, all in, and it's too much. And so our whole philosophy is, how do you get people to build habits one step at a time?
Sure.
And make it doable, excitable, fun, you know, it's all that kind of
Well,
stuff.
you're not gonna get discouraged, and you got some of these fad diets and people eating once a day, and we're doing this. We're liquid only. I'm gonna fast for 48 hours. All this stuff.
Yeah, so much confusion out there.
Yeah.
There is a lot of information out there.
And what's the right way to go? People,
So
they get
we're
overwhelmed.
talking about the same kind of stuff. I mean, we polish things. You know, we've made mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes, but over time, it really gets back to the fundamentals.
Yeah.
How do you get people to do that?
Yeah. So, Teddy, the reason I asked you about this, you got to listen to this podcast that CJ and Matt had this. I listen to it when I'm doing my walk, one of my 2.5.
Yeah.
I walk 6-7 miles a day, and listening to a podcast is a great way to multitask as opposed to just sitting and listening to it. So, about sleep, how important sleep is, and you're talking about 8 hours. I mean, is that the optimum? And then actually, what another thing that you guys emphasized was just the pattern when you know when to go. On a routine. When here's a big thing. No looking at the cell phone 30 minutes prior to going to sleep.
Yeah, Matt gave you that challenge.
And then when you wake up, you got to wait 30 minutes. Okay. So Matt challenged you on that. How did you succeed on that?
That's not a problem for me. Where's my phone? I have no idea. But when you go back to sleep,
Teddy knows where his phone is.
Everybody's a little different.
Yeah.
But if you think about sleep, it's the pillar. That is it. If you're not sleeping well, you're not going to have good hormones.
Yeah.
If you're not sleeping well, you're going to age.
But how do you sleep well? What's the best ingredient?
So first thing we always talk about sleep is it's not a waste of time. So when you hear these social influencers talk about Usain Bolt, 12 hours of sleep. LeBron James, 10 hours of sleep.
No kidding.
Your best athletes in the world, they're all the trainers.
But how do you? But most people our age will say, "Well, I get up, I have to go to the bathroom three times a night."
Back to that. So again, start number one is value your sleep. You got to value it. So that's number one. Number
I do
two,
value
you create a plan around your sleep. How many people actually plan? You ask him when he goes to bed, when he gets up.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Okay.
And then you create an environment. Is it super dark? Is it cold? Are you consuming magnesium foods? There's a real strategy behind it.
Okay.
And last but not least, what Matt was talking about is how do you land the plane? And the landing the plane is if you land it abruptly, you will definitely wake up. If you land it slowly, then your body is all gonna come down. So now you're creating stillness in the brain.
Okay.
So that's a big deal. And that's what most people don't. They go right from their cell phones or electronics or whatever they're doing.
Gotcha.
Watching, Game of Thrones or, Sopranos, and they jump into bed and they don't understand why they wake up and go back to sleep.
So my wife reads before she goes.
Go.
That's a good thing.
That's landing the plane gently. Yes.
Okay.
So that's why we're not a big fan of looking at your phone and when you get up or when you go to bed.
Yeah.
So these are all strategies.
Okay, Teddy. Fess up, buddy.
I listen to the police radio to go to
listen to the
sleep.
scanner. Yeah, where the bullets are flying. Okay, really smart there, my friend.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah.
But, back to some of the supplements. Right here we're trying this is wheatgrass.
Yeah, it was
I
good.
know we're sipping.
It's excellent.
It's like bourbon, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like the
fantastic.
sipping whiskey.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I take I for years I've taken the cod liver oil, but it's a lemon flavor. It's really good tasting. It's unreal. I take that and the spirulina, the tablets.
So the
I'm
cod
going
liver
to
oil
add
is
this to
omega-3.
the mix.
So you tried the cod liver oil.
I did, and I like it.
You were kind of shocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's an omega-3. So back to what people are missing, that's a nutrient that most people are missing. And then they're taking a fish oil or a gel tablet, they're not getting enough, and the quality's not
So
there.
you said the cod liver oil. You said that would make my hair grow back or something along those
No,
lines.
that's the wheatgrass.
Oh, that's the wheatgrass.
Wheatgrass helps to retard gray hair and helps the hair grow.
Okay.
It's not a miracle word.
Okay. I was just teasing you.
That's good.
Yeah, not that it matters at almost 68 years old. Yeah.
You know, they have a great website. I love it. I get on there and I can order my stuff. You know, and I'm going to definitely. I have caught some of the podcasts, but now I know how to. I'm not really
hook it up. Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
Now I know how to subscribe to it, so I'm gonna.
Yeah.
We got podcasts on sleep, which you just heard, or
Yeah.
you just heard.
Yeah.
We have one on know your numbers, understanding cholesterol and glucose and all the craziness going out there with Ozempic, and so we have ways to help educate people. That's simple.
So CJ, when we were working at Slenderform Universal, we had guys like Matt Bonell and Frank Rose, all these guys bulking up and everything, and because when you're young, you want to look big and stuff, that's kind of thing.
I was right there.
Yeah, you were right there. Oh man, you were all jacked up.
I competed in 8 times.
Yeah, I remember that. And all these, I wasn't one of those guys, but I admire you guys. But actually, weightlifting becomes, when you get to our age, even more important, is it not?
Yeah, I always tell everybody, once you hit 50, strength training is kind of if you want it, because we want to maintain muscle as we age. Mm-hmm. And it's not about weight so much, it's about muscle, because muscle is a metabolic engine. It helps us move better, feel better, everything.
Okay.
With it. So that's a big deal. And people, you don't have to, do heavy lifting or anything else. You just need to do some type of resistance training. And it doesn't need to be hard.
Right.
So a lot of it, you can do it with virtually no equipment at all. So I think that's the mistake people make sometimes. They need to go to a gym and they need to do this. I always tell people, when you're building a habit, it's always you have to have a place and a time for your habit to live.
Right.
So if you're saying, hey, I'm going to do the cod liver roll in the morning, I'm going to do it in the morning, I'm going to have a refrigerator, that's a place and a time. If I'm going to work out or strength train, where am I going to do it at? So I always look at my clients, I'm like, so tell me where you're going to do this at. Well, I don't know. I mean, you think the stars and the moon are going to line up perfectly? Not going to happen. So we have to have a plan around where you're going to do it, place and time.
Yeah.
The strength training is absolutely.
That, and in terms of cardiovascular, how important is that element as you age?
Well, they're all important. The key is...
But raising your heart rate when you get older, or is it just like walking versus run,
Yeah, I don't really get worried about that. As long as you're walking, you're moving your body, getting your blood flowing.
It's movement.
It's movement. Motion creates positive emotion.
Okay.
And that's what we're getting wrong. I mean, mental health is never been worse. Motion creates positive
mental health, sleep deprivation. I've never run into more people who I don't sleep very well, just in casual conversations. What's the reason behind that?
If I'm trying to get my grandkids, I got 5, going to have 6 grandkids. If I'm getting them to sleep better, I got to get them outside moving around.
You got to wear them down.
I got to wear them down. and ideally, you do that outside. Back in the day when we were growing up,
we were outside, be on the street, playing.
Get out there. Don't come back in.
Yeah, you wouldn't come back in. But now they're looking. Young kids are looking. I'm not trying to generalize here, but they're looking at too many screens all day.
Again, back to our brains are not being. We're not letting them rest.
Okay.
Movement allows your brain to rest.
Okay.
So we don't have any stillness in the brain anymore. And so when I'm working with people and they're having trouble sleeping, or they have anxiety and all the stuff that we're dealing with, we have to learn how to quiet the mind, create stillness. And a big part of that's breathing, and a big part of that's movement. Yeah, I heard that in the podcast, breathing. So are you talking about slowing your heart rate down with deeper breaths, or what? So how does that, what's the exercise to do that? One of the greatest skills everybody can learn is learning how to breathe correctly. And you breathe through the nose. Okay. And you breathe through your diaphragm, which is your belly. Right. And you slow it down. We do the opposite. Okay, so when you say that, how do you do that? I mean... So whether you're standing or sitting or laying down down is the easiest for teaching. Okay. So you lay down, put your hand on your belly. Okay. Close your eyes, breathe only through your nose. Inhalation, exhalation, just through the nose. Okay. Number 2 is when you take a deep breath, the belly should expand like a balloon. Right. That means the diaphragm's moving, not the chest. Which you don't want to breathe through your chest. You don't want to breathe through the chest unless you're working out, and you need to breathe everywhere, through your ears, everywhere. Right. Right. So when you're using your belly, that's the diaphragm. Okay. And that relaxes the nervous system, and that's how your blood pressure comes down and your heart rate comes down. Wow. That's the science of it. And then if I can slow it down, 4-second inhalation, 6-second exhalation, Now I got a plan.
Is that something you should do right before you go to bed, or?
Back to your wife, she's reading. It's
Slowing down.
You're laying in the plane softly.
Gotcha.
So that's a big deal, learning how to breathe correctly.
Right.
Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about the target?
Yeah. Well, that's a heck of a symbolic logo here behind you.
So back in the day,
Yeah.
People would go and they're like, I'm so confused about what to eat, not to eat.
Right.
So again, you can't see this here, but carbohydrates would be at the top.
Okay.
And then you have healthy fats over here in this quadrant.
Okay.
And then you have healthy proteins. These are called macronutrients.
Healthy fats, huh? That doesn't sound.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
We have these beliefs.
Yeah.
We believe it, right?
Yeah.
So back in the day when we were at Slender Form,
Yeah.
we thought, cut the fat out of your diet. That was
Absolutely.
the era.
Yeah.
Snackwell
So you got to get those fat grams down to nothing.
Get them down to nothing, right?
Yeah.
Well, we knew that's a mess because your brain is, every cell in the human body, every cell membrane in the human body is made out of fat.
Okay.
Wow, I need to know that.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at cholesterol and all the stuff that goes with hormones and everything else, that's all based from fat.
Okay.
So this is the processed food,
Okay.
and this is the whole or source food.
Okay.
So the goal is on this is not getting rid of foods or whatever you're doing. You're just trying to upgrade them.
Gotcha.
So if you like Jif peanut butter, which would be out here,
I love that.
then you can get into a healthy.
Can I still have the Jif peanut butter?
No,
You can't.
no.
Really?
We have a Jif peanut
I
butter.
thought you said you didn't say no to me to a lot of
I
things.
didn't say no to peanut butter. I said no to Jif.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We
Okay.
have a Jif peanut butter down in the warehouse, 30 years old. 30. So that's why you're not doing that Jif peanut butter.
Okay.
So if you like creamer in your coffee, you just get a better creamer. You don't get rid of the creamer, you just get
So back to the peanut butter. What kind of peanut butter?
one ingredient. You can get it everywhere. Kroger, Meijer,
Okay.
Aldi, you name it, everywhere.
Okay.
So now you're done with your Jif peanut butter.
Okay. It was a fun ride.
Be careful what you wish for, right? So that's the goal.
So whose idea was it to come here, Teddy?
So that's the goal, is to upgrade.
Okay.
You don't have to do it tomorrow.
Okay.
You
I
can
got you.
slowly do it. And
Okay.
again, if
I mean, the
love,
jar's about 3/4 filled. I
If
mean.
you love the Jif peanut butter, then don't worry about
Okay.
that.
Okay. Okay.
But if you're doing something, we always say, whatever you do the most, that's where you start making changes.
I got you.
Whatever you do the most, make those changes.
Okay.
If you do Jif peanut butter once in a while, don't even worry about it.
Okay.
If you drink, a scotch here and there, not a big deal. The key is whatever you do daily, that's what you want to start improving. It's no different than Teddy. We talk about compound interest and finances. You don't have to get crazy with it.
Yeah.
You just have to deposit it regularly.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the gist behind the target.
I got you.
Designed this in 1994.
Okay. One more question about, just personal question here about, like deli that you get in that's with sodium in it, stuff like
Doesn't
that.
have to be.
Okay.
You can get deli meat that's really good.
Okay. Okay.
So now that's what you're starting to think. If you like deli meat,
I like deli.
You do not need to get rid of deli meat.
Okay, good.
You just need to get better deli meat. Does that make sense?
Ah, better.
So on
Gotcha.
our website, we have a handout called Brand Favorites, and all it is better choices, better macaroni and cheese, better pizzas,
I love macaroni and cheese.
better deli meats,
Gotcha.
better peanut butter.
So how motivated are you right now, Teddy?
Very motivated. I love this stuff. And I'll tell you one other thing is all three of us have twins.
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're all Lansing Public School bred.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. And you think about those twins, talk about sleep deprivation.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I mean, yeah. And then when I had my third kid, it was a 16 and a half month span, 0 to 3 in 16 and a half months. That's a
You
challenge.
didn't understand that program, did you?
No. But it's like you're outnumbered. I mean, you got to play zone defense. You can't play man to man.
Right. I don't know
Yeah.
how you did that.
Yeah, that was crazy. Well, CJ, I mean, this has been awesome out here. So for the listeners out here on TomsTake, Greater Lansing, give us the website. Give us where they should land on you. I heard some of your like the podcast today and some other podcasts prior. You and Matt do a tremendous job. You got a nice studio. You put it in layman, understandable terms and doable terms.
Yeah.
Like you're not. Sometimes you listen to these health podcasts, and I listen to a lot of stuff, and it's like it's not even realistic that I can't do that. I can't afford to do that with certain. To spend this kind of money on this kind of things and foods and especially things like that. But you really put it in, things that look tangible to do. So,
Well, and again, I love that you're doing this because, again, this community needs this. I mean, we go back in time and we were talking about this in Dwight Rich, and Luton Elementary School.
Yeah.
I mean, this is our home.
Yeah.
So, that's my goal is to how do you give back in our community as much as we can.
Exactly.
That's a big deal. And the easiest way to get a hold of us is just go to our website, ontargetliving.com.
Yeah.
So that's where everything lives. Our podcasts live there. We have handouts. We have tons of videos. Lots of stuff lives on
Because you have a YouTube channel off
We have a
that.
big YouTube channel. So you just go to On Target Living YouTube. We have hundreds of videos, exercises, recipes. So there's a lot there.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
CJ, thanks so much, man. We're going to do this again, right, Teddy?
Absolutely.
All right. Until next time, TomsTake, Greater Lansing Local.